Tonight on Paranormal.
So it is Saturday, May the 7th, 2022, and we are on our way to Mount Holly, New Jersey, to check out the historic Burlington County Prison.
2 people were executed off-site, 7 people were executed here on-site. All the people executed at this prison were murderers.
Is there anybody down here with me this evening?
In this cell over here was a guy who was in for drunken disorderly. One night he apparently snapped and he killed the daykeeper and another inmate.
I think I smell something.
You smell something?
Were you executed here? Do you believe the place is haunted?
Sure, it's just feet from where we're standing, people met their death. How could there not be a presence here? I don't find it hard to believe at all.
I'm really excited to get back to this place.
Oh my God, it's been a long time coming.
Now, this is a case that we actually started working on all the way back in 2019, and we were supposed to do our first field investigation in spring of 2020 before the pandemic shut everything down. Kind of nice to be heading back to the New York area, our old stomping grounds. Can't say I miss the traffic or these idiot drivers. The COVID pandemic caused us, like almost every organization, to stop all activities or investigations for months, and we really used the time to reevaluate some things. We ended up giving up our offices in Queens, New York, and moving all of our operations to my family's property in Western Massachusetts. This had kind of been our New England research center until that point.
Burlington County Prison was one of our investigations that got put on hold. So we had already done a lot of preliminary research and a tour as well in 2020.
Let me tell you, we still have people alive that serve time here. They do come back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had a guy come in last March. He had served a 2-week sentence in 1964 for stealing tires from a car dealership locally. He came back with his grandkids, went upstairs and showed them the cell he was in. Came back down, we started talking. He said it was the worst 2 weeks of his life.
Opened in 1811, the Burlington County Prison operated for 154 years and was, by some accounts, the longest-serving prison in American history, housing all manner of criminals from debtors, thieves, and drunks to sex offenders and murderers. During its active years, the prison was the site of several executions by hanging, as well as murders and other violent acts among its prisoner population. By the 1950s, New Jersey's legal system had changed significantly, and the aging prison was overcrowded and in need of refurbishment. In 1954, the state slated the building for demolition, the prisoners to be relocated. But members of the Mount Holly community objected to the historic building's destruction and successfully petitioned that the prison be saved and converted into a museum. The Burlington County Prison Museum opened to the public on April 14, 1965. By the late 1980s, the museum's roof was in need of replacement, and significant repairs were conducted between 1993 and 2001. But during the renovations, members of the construction crews allegedly began experiencing strange phenomena. Odd sounds and disembodied voices would come from unoccupied areas, and workmen's tools would disappear only to be found later inside locked cells or other peculiar locations. After several construction workers allegedly quit because they found the environment too unsettling, the Burlington County Prison quickly began gaining a reputation as a haunted location. Staff and visitors to the museum have reported unusual experiences as well, from abrupt changes in temperature to shadow-like figures, mysterious odors, and overpowering emotions they cannot account for. Today, the historic Burlington County Prison remains a museum, offering daily tours.
In 2007, TAPS did an investigation of Burlington County Prison. They captured a strange thermal image that looked kind of like a person. My opinion on the TV shows on paranormal stuff is it's very hyped up and sort of made for viewer content. In real life, paranormal investigations do not go like that. It is a lot of sitting around and inactivity.
First of all, welcome. Thank you for coming. The architect of this building. This man's name was Robert Mills, and he was one of the first young professional architects in the United States. He came along at a very opportune time. This place opened up in 1811, so he got the contract to design it roughly in 1807, 1808. Mills had a lot of interesting ideas for a man of his time. He worked them into the design of the building in terms of prison management.
You know what was unique about the place? It was probably the first prison, or close to the first prison in the United States, where each inmate had his own cell. Now that was unheard of at the time. Dungeons, big holding cells, the norm. This prison, Eastern State Penitentiary, that was founded 20 years later,
Been to Eastern.
they were both Quaker influenced. And that was their idea, that you would be in a cell, not so much as punishment, but as a way to think about what you did, reflect upon your time here, use it to try and better yourself. They gave you a Bible. There was a workshop downstairs that you could learn a trade. And the idea was you would better yourself and not want to come back. So here every cell had light from a window. Every cell had a fireplace. You had a mattress on the floor, and you had a bucket as your bathroom, and 1811, pretty good.
This place in the early years housed debtors. In addition to the debtors, housed vagrants, drunken disorderlies, minor crimes, as well as major crimes. This is a spot where hangings took place, and there were 9 that this prison conducted.
2 people were executed off-site. 7 people were executed here on-site. All the people executed out of this prison or at this prison were murderers.
These gallows are not the original, but they were built by copying photographs and getting whatever plans they could get. Hangings were a public event. They used to sell tickets, and they opened the door, and thousands of people, I'm told, actually witnessed the various hangings that took place here.
The last public execution in New Jersey took place in Burlington County in 1834. 12,000 people showed up.
Mills had a very interesting concept. Prior to this place being built and prior to his ideas, when you had serious offenders or people the government considered serious offenders, they would throw them in basements of these structures. And very often they would tunnel out. So Mills, when he designed this place, thought about that and said, how do I prevent tunneling out? And his solution was put them on the top floor. So he put the max custody guys on the top floor, but with very small windows. And he thought that would minimize or eliminate the chance for escape. This place had its share of escapes. This is the supermax cell of the place. If you were convicted of murder and sentenced to hang, this would be where you would live until you're hanged. This is a cell that is supposedly, according to the paranormal people, haunted by a guy named Cloud, who murdered somebody in the 18-somethings. Supposedly, he still haunts the place. The thing about this cell in particular, this cell housed our most famous inmate, the Boston Strangler.
Albert DeSalvo, when he was a young man, was in the Army station at Fort Dix. Came off the base in January 1955, molested a young girl, was arrested and held here. His first known kill that they could pin on him definitively was 1962. He never went to trial for that because he was killed by fellow inmates in prison in Massachusetts. We have his intake card and his headshot out in the hallway.
this cell over here was a guy who was in for drunken disorderly. But one night he apparently snapped, and he was able to, get a piece of metal from the cell, and he killed the daykeeper and another inmate. And this was the warden's office, and this safe was where they kept inmate records. And that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You mentioned when we were upstairs in the dungeon that obviously there are some reports of paranormal activity, hauntings associated with the building. Have you ever had any unusual
My
experiences?
wife totally believes in that stuff, but I'm totally skeptical.
Skeptic.
I'm-
Have you ever had any
I
experiences?
have not.
Okay.
I have not. We do have lots of visitors that come. I walk through the building, can't go in certain cells, feel overwhelmed with sadness or, I don't know if fear is the right word, but certainly sadness. And they can't go into certain cells because something's happened there. And one of the things that was talked about, the man that drew 12,000 people to his execution, Joel Clow, the family didn't claim his body. And at the time, the county did not have a pauper cemetery. So he's buried out back in the courtyard in an unmarked grave.
Do you believe the place is haunted?
Sure. 7 people were executed on site, just feet from where we're standing, people met their death. How could there not be a presence here? I don't find it hard to believe at all.
There she is. Let's do this thing. Our plan for the first night was observation first and foremost. We wanted to get to know the building after dark and see if we could come up with any natural explanations for the reports of paranormal activity.
The time that we had there was very limited each night, so it was very difficult to kind of get in there quickly, get all the cameras and equipment set up, and then actually doing the investigation. To maximize coverage and save time, we only ran 2 static night vision cameras, one in the basement floor where the guard and inmate were murdered, and shadow figures have been reported, and one on the 3rd floor on death row. We also placed audio recorders and a pair of thermal cameras to cover those areas.
After setting up our equipment, we took our first set of environmental baseline readings. We measure everything from temperature, humidity, electromagnetic fields, radiation levels, and we look for any abnormalities or any changes that might correspond with the claims of activity or our own experiences while investigating.
I feel like I smell something.
You smell something?
Yeah, but I can't put my finger on it. When Nick and I were taking our first set of baselines in the subway, I all of a sudden smelled this aroma that sort of smelled very like earthy.
I mean, there's
It's not like smoky. I mean, it's kind of a little earthy maybe. And that could be because it's raining. And we're right on
definitely a
the-
breeze coming through this window. I can feel it. You got the cobwebs blowing. It's definitely got some give to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel that. You can see that blowing. Could be something from outside.
Yeah, it does smell kind of earthy. Most likely the smell was something maybe from outside. There's lots of little leaks and stuff funneling through, so that's very possible that it could have just been a natural phenomenon.
When we were down in the subway, we ended up detecting some pretty high AC or alternating current electromagnetic fields. They were 2 milligauss and higher.
It is kind of hopping around a bit. 1.18, 2.4, 2.3. Obviously, this is right where one of the guards was killed by an inmate here.
There's a couple theories in the paranormal field when it comes to EMF and its role. Some investigators think that ghosts or spirits give off or manipulate ambient electromagnetic fields. But laboratory testing has shown that certain individuals subjected to high sources of electromagnetic radiation sometimes report unusual physical or psychological phenomenon that could be easily mistaken for a paranormal experience.
Currently, one of the cells down at the end, the prison is using as their utility room. So it's got telephone and Wi-Fi access, it's got controls for the heating system. You can see all this cabling here on the ceiling. We might just be getting interference from some of this. We're over 3 milligauss here. Let's see if I move closer to the utility room. Yep, okay, we're climbing 5.8, 5.9, 6 milligauss, 6.8, 7 milligauss. Yeah, I think we found it. Oh, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I'm over 10 milligauss here. There's some high EMF in this room.
I think it's really likely that the high EMF that is given off by some of the wiring and machines that are down in the subway are what's causing a lot of the anomalous readings that paranormal investigators claim to catch at Burlington County Prison.
A thermal camera is a device that picks up drastic differences in temperature in an environment or room. Most of the times we'll use this as a tool to debunk things for things like drafts or if they're like animals in the wall or something like that.
During the filming of the television show Ghost Hunters, Jason Hawes and Grant Wilson, using the same thermal camera that you're holding right now, filmed what looked like a person, some kind of thermal anomaly, moving from right to left in this doorway, pretty much right about here. Now, obviously there is a spot where you can stand here. There's sort of nowhere to disappear to on the left, because you would end up in a wall. Now, whatever it was came from right about where you were standing, Miranda, and then seemed to go into the wall. Now, obviously, right out here are the reproduction gallows, but right where the real gallows were, where several people met their death right here on the property. Tell you what, Miranda, do you want to try recreating the taps footage and just seeing what it would look like?
Sure.
You want to stand up where they were and I'll try to walk past this door and you can tell me what it looks like?
Yeah.
I want to say they were right around here when the footage was captured.
Okay.
Now, they were actually set to a black and white color palette, white being hot and black being cold. And I'm going to try to get out of shot
Okay.
without running into this wall.
Yeah, you're clear.
Can you see me?
Nope. You're gone. Oh, I see you now. And now you're gone.
All right. So,
Sorry, fan.
the second floor, maximum security. Definitely a lot of echo and reverb in the cells.
And I bet you that it would sound like if someone was downstairs and I was up here and you were down there or something, that you could have interference like that. So if people are hearing other people, it could very well just be the ambiance.
Absolutely. Now, I know one of the claims of activity here is that people experience sort of smells that they can't quite place or explain.
Yeah.
Tobacco smoke,
In paranormal theory, there's something called phantom smells. This is where out of nowhere a smell can come in. It can be something like roses or cigarettes or smoke. It comes in quickly and then can dissipate rather quickly as well. This type of phenomenon is usually linked to residual phenomenon.
There is a lot of air moving through this building.
Oh yeah.
And there have been a couple times where we've smelled like firewood and definitely things that seem to be blowing in from outside.
Oh yeah. No, it's very true. It could very, very easily be confused for something that just is seeping in through the windows and the various cracks and crevices.
And this is the death row cell right here. Supposedly one of the most active and haunted areas in the building. Temperature seems...
That's that window.
That was this window over here.
Yeah.
Blowing in the wind. Oh yeah. That was just this latch right here. Could definitely see that making somebody jump though. They weren't
Oh, yeah.
expecting it. Should we be good Samaritans and latch their window?
Yeah.
There you go,
Why
guys.
not?
That's another thing. I mean, you hear a lot of different paranormal groups come here and they claim to catch all kinds of EVPs and strange sounds on audio. How do we not know? It's just not an effect of the acoustics of this building and noise pollution from outside.
Oh yeah.
There they are. It's around 11:15 here at Burlington County Prison, night one. It's been pretty interesting so far. Unfortunately, we have to start breaking stuff down, but in just about 5 weeks, we're going to be coming back here to the prison to continue our research, and who knows what will happen on our next visit.
Unfortunately, I couldn't attend the second investigation with Nick. I had prior work engagements that I couldn't get out of for that, so I had to sit that one out.
I wasn't apprehensive about investigating the prison alone. To be honest, I think it's a very comfortable location in a lot of ways, but solo investigations are never ideal because you only have one eyewitness present. My plan for the second investigation was to continue observations, but also attempt to communicate or make contact with any presence or spirits that might be there. Alrighty, marking all cameras and audio. So right now I am down in the basement, or the area known as the subway, and right about where I'm sitting is where one of the historic deaths that occurred here at the prison took place. An inmate murdered, I believe it was a day keeper and another inmate. This staircase here to my left is where several people have seen a shadow figure or shadow person moving from this floor up the stairs. Even underground here, there is still a lot of noise that I can hear from outside. I can hear traffic, I can still hear birds chirping. Air feels pretty still down here. It feels a little bit close. Kind of reminds me of the casemates at Fort Mifflin. So, good evening. If there is anybody here, my name is Nick Smith-Koblitz. I came over to the prison today because I'm here to visit this location and speak to anybody who might be here. Anybody who might be here who isn't on the museum staff, that is.
EVP stands for Electronic Voice Phenomenon, and usually we'll use things like tape recorders or voice recorders, and we'll put them out and try to have conversation and pick up some type of voice anomaly on the device. EVP is very much a pseudo-scientific method.
Is there anybody down here with me this evening? If there's anybody down here, would you be able to tell me your name, please? How many people are in this building? Were you incarcerated here? Did you serve time at this prison? Can you tell me what your crime was? Did you lose your life here? Hello? Anybody down here? Something I noticed walking around here, especially in the dark and with the lights off, the floors not exactly perfectly level, and it does make you feel a little bit kind of off balance. This is recording EVP session number 2, Burlington County Prison, Mount Holly, New Jersey. This is Nick. It is June 11th, 2022, 9:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm placing this recorder on the floor in front of the death row cell. A lot of traffic sound from outside. So, hello again. My name is Nick Smith-Koblitz. You might have seen me around or heard me talking to you downstairs. I'm not a member of the prison staff. I don't work in law enforcement. I just came to the prison to speak with anybody who might be here, have a little friendly conversation. Is there anybody up here with me this evening? Are you from New Jersey? Did you used to live in Mount Holly? If there's somebody here, I'd very much like to make your acquaintance. I'd really like to meet you. Do you think you could give me some kind of sign if you are here? Maybe knock on something or show me a light? You could try to come up and touch one of the boxes on the floor in front of me. They're not going to hurt you. They're just going to light up and make some noises and tell me that you're here. Do you think you could try walking up to the devices on the floor in front of me? It's music from outside. It almost sounded like squeaking, like metal. Maybe like one of these doors, but I'm pretty sure that was just traffic. There's a car, I think. Hello? Anybody here with me this evening? Hello? Were you one of the men who was sentenced to death here at this prison? Were you executed here? Joel Clow, are you here? There's so much noise from outside. It's a little distracting and hard to tell if anything is coming from in here. Death row stayed pretty quiet. I didn't really experience anything while I was up there, so I decided to head back downstairs and investigate the warden's office. Burlington County Prison, Mount Holly, New Jersey. Time is 10:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is Nick, and I am in the warden's office / apartment. Now, one of the reports of activity that I've heard from this room is that there's been a shadow person or shadow figure, shadow form, which has been seen moving from inside this room out the doorway where the cameras are set up to film me, and then towards the doorway leading out to the gallows. If there is anybody here, would you be able to tell me your name, please? Are there any guards or members of staff here with me this evening? Are you the person people have seen walking around in this room? If you are, can you tell me what you're still doing here? Not sure if you can tell, but the prison's been closed for a long time. Just heard a little click or something. It sounded like that was out in the hallway. Hello? Anybody out in the hall? Hello? Anybody out here? If there is anybody here and you're trying to communicate with me and it's difficult,
You can try walking up to or moving your hand around one of the boxes on the floor in front of me. They're not going to hurt you. They're just going to light up and make some noises and indicate to me that you're here and trying to talk to me. Do you think you could walk up to the devices on the floor in front of me, please? Well, I hate to say it, but I think it's just about time for me to go.
I had to wrap the investigation at around 11:30, and it was disappointing not being able to spend the whole night there, especially because it had just started to quiet down outside.
So we're just about to begin our evidence review for the Burlington County Prison investigation. The 2 nights that we were there, the place seemed pretty quiet, but we still have to do our due diligence and go through all of our video, all of our audio, and of course our baseline readings before we make any conclusions as to what we think is going on there.
Overall, I think the Burlington County Prison was like a really cool place to go. It was very unique.
It has been a difficult location to investigate. The limited time that we have access to the prison is a hindrance, but I think that we've done good work on the 2 investigations that we've conducted there.
I don't really think that Burlington County's prison was scary. Definitely creepy how they have statues in certain cells, and if you're walking around at night, you see like reflections or you catch it from the corner of your eye, it can be off-putting. Based on Crypto's findings, I don't think that we can say definitively that it's haunted.
I think there's a lot of natural phenomenon and natural conditions associated with the site that are causing people to have experiences that they're mistaking for supernatural. That being said, I would love to continue going back there and continuing our research.